Howdy, hi. Since we didn't do it yesterday, we will do this deck today. Oh, let me, sorry, I'm gonna try to set this up again so that you can see. It seemed to work with this setup last time, so I'll just keep doing this. Good. Okay. So I haven't gone through these since I haven't done a reading with these since I recalibrated them. So with these specifically, because they're the Oracle deck, the other ones, the tarot decks, have a lot more cards, and they're more, you know, there's like quartz, these are, what am I trying to say? These don't have as many, like, they're not as cohesive. They don't really have any that necessarily go together. There was the 4 elements. I'm trying to even think. There's like specific ones, but I pretty much kind of just like made up how to recalibrate these since they're not a normal deck. So with these specifically, as compared to any other deck I would shuffle first before starting the reading. But what I determined with these was that I'm not going to shuffle the deck. I'm just going to take it as it is. That actually has been the energy for me today. Has very much been just to take things as they are, to accept what they are, and to do my best with it, and just to keep moving forward, to focus on what I can do. Things are up in the air right now, but at the same time, it's allowed me space to kind of focus on other things, and that's just the energy that I'm moving with right now. Things are about to be changing a lot very quickly, and I feel like there's going to be a lot kind of out of nowhere. So right now it's kind of a period of rest, and that is all right. That is all right, but that's kind of the point of doing this reading this way as well, is because we're just taking the cards as they fall, right? Not even shuffling them, but I am going to put some love into them. I'm putting some love into these. Put some love into these. Okay. Just some good energy. I'm getting a lot of energy off of them, actually. But let's put energy into them, through them, have everything come into a good alignment. I hope that your day has been good. I hope that your week has been good. I hope that the beginning of this year has been good for you. It's very interesting to me because it seems, I saw a thing today that said that Mars is in retrograde in Cancer, and that's, I don't actually know which signs, I'm not good at astrology, I don't know which signs that's necessarily good for, and what ones that's bad for, but it seems like it's kind of split that way. And I've noticed that this year in general, that it seems like things have either been really good for people or really they've taken off to a bad start. And the thing is that, like, don't go off of that for anything. Just because things have started good doesn't mean they're always going to be great. Just because things have started not great doesn't mean they're always going to stay that way and that things can't get better. So the beginning of the year isn't a tell for how the rest of the year is going to be necessarily. It's all about what you do with it, what you make of it, what energy you put into it, and what energy you pull out of it. So coming into alignment with whatever it is, like I said in my last reading too, and like I've been focusing on, is just taking all things as an adventure. You know, we're creators. Every single one of us is a creator being. We have the capacity to be able to alchemize every aspect of our existence as we choose. And it's really in our capacity to choose those things. Like, the more aware we become of our capacity to choose how we receive things and what we do with it, the better things get. So let us all come into that energy of being able to recognize our strength, our power, and to be able to make the most of everything that we're given. So this is going to be just an oracle reading. I'm not going to use any of the tarot deck, just the oracle cards. Okay, we're going to start with these. I have one that came face up, two that came face down, and since this one came directly on the side, I'm going to leave it. I'm not going to turn it one way or the other. What I'm getting from that immediately, since it's a hand, this is the bottom, this is the top. So we're talking about moving from this energy into this energy. And interestingly, when I say that too, we have, this is water. This card is water. But as you can see, it's flowing, you know, from the top to the bottom. And so there's a sort of back and forth here with the energy. A sort of back and forth. I'm getting the Ace of Cups energy, especially like in the Hermetic deck, where like it's pretty depictive of like whatever you pour into this thing is then able to be poured back out into this, and then it creates this reciprocation. So it really is dependent on exactly what you're pouring into things, what you're able to receive back out of them. And obviously, as creator beings, we always have the capacity to be able to kind of create something out of nothing, essentially, but we're not really fully doing that either. We're trying to create sustainable systems that we can then pull from in order to create a further sustainability. When you are creating something out of nothing, you are actually using your energy to manifest. You're having to use more energy because you're not being given certain things to work with. You know, the benefit of me, I used to do just like talk therapy videos, and the benefit of me finding like cards or being able to use very specific things in order to communicate messages is that I have something to actively work with. I don't always need that. I can just sit there and bullshit, but essentially that's what it turns into, is kind of me pulling from all of these random energies and not necessarily having a set thing to communicate. And then my ADHD kicks in and I start like kind of going all over the place and not really having a set communication. So it's good to have something to work with. Yes, we can create something out of nothing, and that serves its own purpose and has its own power. But it's better if we can actually have some sort of intent within what it is that we're doing. And now, like, I started this reading without shuffling, without having a predetermined idea of what it was we were going to be talking about. But the water here is also reflecting the emotions, and how like this is my fallback, is I already know how to work my own personal alchemy. So it doesn't really matter what I'm given, or what I'm given kind of determines what the goal is with it. But ultimately, they kind of just feed into each other, and there's something deeper than that, which is coming directly from me, which is the capacity to be able to alchemize all things for my greatest good. And my greatest good being the greatest good of all, you know, if it truly is for my greatest good, you know, if it just makes me, because what I want is to be the richest person, so I'm willing to walk all over all these other people in order to be rich. Well, that's not really my greatest good, is it? I might want to think that that's my greatest good, but, you know, and be trying to strive for that. But ultimately, what's best for me is going to be best for everybody else. It's the most sustainable thing. And it's not sustainable. Like, genocide isn't sustainable. Greed isn't sustainable. Robbery isn't sustainable. Having to rely on other people's energies and resources, or other people at all, is not sustainable. Any sort of codependency is not ultimately sustainable. So true alchemy is going to come from within the core of a person and within the person's capacity to not only be able to receive and then to give, but then also to pour out from what has been given and to receive of that in order to create more, and creating that whole sustainability process. Okay. So in the receiving, in the initial receiving, we have the Milky Way, which is kind of like talking about like a bigger concept than just like what's right here, right now, in this earth, and this tangibility. You know, it's not just talking about my personal life. It's not just talking about the personal lives of those that are directly affected by me. It's not even talking about, you know, as wide as I can see or as far as I could ever reach, because that's still talking about just in on this planet. It's talking about something so much greater than that. And like for it to be in the hand of the divine in this way, it's talking about stepping even further back than that. You know, when I think of the Milky Way in comparison to my own personal experience or the whole collective world's experience, and then how we get out into this galaxy, it starts like, now we're talking about notions of time and space. But when we're talking about these things being held within the hand of the divine, we're talking about energy. Something beyond what is tangibly measurable, outside of our own capacity to receive of it. I mean, we are the divine, and we, through our experience, we ourselves are containing the galaxy within us. Like the Milky Way galaxy exists within us, but at the same time, it's something so much further beyond us, right? Especially our individual aspect. That was like such a big idea, so I'm trying to think of where that's going. I'm getting to, when we're talking about what it is that we're looking to receive in order to put out, in order to like be able to create these sustainable systems for ourselves, when we're looking ahead into the year, into the future, and considering what is it that I need to kind of get to lay my foundations down. What do I need as a foundation in order to build into the future, in order to make sure that what I get out of this year is really what I'm hoping for and what I'm looking for and what's going to be the most sustainable. It's actually going to benefit me years in the future. In order to get to that point, we're talking about being less tangible, because it's not necessarily going to be this person, place, thing, or idea. You have to be free-flowing when it comes to those things, because those things are liable to change. Even, I was talking to a friend the other day, and they had inspired me to do a bucket list for the year. And like generally I'll do like little lists of things that I hope to get done, or I'll do like little manifestation lists and stuff like that, but I never take it too seriously. I decided to like start trying to write something up that was a little more graphic, you know, that was a little more like artistic, that had put more energy into it, that was a little more thought out, so that it was something I could really like have for myself and look at for myself and like be like, okay, this is what I'm trying to do with my year. And as soon as I did it, sorry, I'm like, I don't know why, as soon as I started doing this, I kind of started getting a little like airheaded feeling. Like I don't necessarily feel quite grounded right now in my energy. I don't know where that's coming from. But as I made this bucket list, I like started writing things down, and then I quickly realized that like those are all very determinant, or at least as I'm looking into the future of this year of 2025 and what I hope my goals to be in order to reach those things. I'm looking at them like, oh, well, those are actually like quite liable to change. The intent is there for sure, but like there's multiple things that like are really determinant on like where I am, how long I'm there. Maybe part of that, yeah, is getting more grounded about those things, not letting. I've always kind of been one to make the most of whatever is given, and then I'm kind of like incredibly free flowing where I don't have I don't really keep predetermined goals. I kind of just am always making the most with whatever I have, and that's great for an adventure for sure. But it's also lacking in a certain sense of stability that I am trying to found for myself. So, you know, maybe the takeaway of this energy right now, and as I'm talking about this, is kind of to be willing to set those goals and then to stick to them and to be able to be like, nope, that's what I'm doing regardless. It's difficult. It's difficult. Okay. It doesn't matter if it's difficult. That's just an excuse. Empathetically, yes, it's difficult to kind of ground oneself and to be able to really know for sure what it is that you want and be able to say, this is what I'm going to go after. That is not a strong suit of mine, now that I'm thinking of it. But I am seeing that that's definitely what needs to be worked on in order to move forward. You know, the reason that the future is seeming somewhat uncertain. And uncertain. I have a sense of certainty actually about the future, but the reason that this step process, it's not even, I'm pretty solid on those things. And part of that has come from being so willing to kind of go with the flow. But I do struggle with my environments, and especially the people within my environments, believing that they can take advantage because of what they perceive to be wishy-washiness, which is actually a set groundedness that allows me to be free enough to maneuver with this way and that, according to the tide. You know, it's how I keep the water from getting in my boat. It's how I, you know, keep from falling off of the platform. But a lot of people see that, you know, and they, a very certain way, which doesn't really matter how they see it. But then it's like, because people see that, it tends to attract people that are seeking to take advantage. And so like what I've consistently seen, like especially last year, was this energy of like, people kept coming at me with the same energy. Like, oh, you're a dumb idiot. I can take advantage of you. Where it's like, God, I just want to be able to just like chill out and be who I am without people thinking that they can just take advantage. Because anytime somebody does that, I have to be like, let me put my britches on and put you in your place. And that gets old. It gets old. I mean, if that's my lot in life, so be it. But I feel like there's got to be a way to energetically kind of maneuver those types of things so that that's not something I'm constantly dealing with. I don't like drawing that attention. I remember talking to somebody the other day about that too, where like, I've worked very hard and I've gotten extremely, in comparison, extremely good at deterring certain energies that way. But there's still a hint of it, obviously, what I'm talking about. But I used to have such a strong magnetic pull to people in need that there was one time, I mean, it was in general, everybody everywhere, anybody that met me for a split second knew that I was somebody that they could talk to, that I was somebody that they could come to, that I was somebody that they could ask for help, that I was somebody that would compromise, sacrifice myself for them. And I got all sorts of different types of people trying to take advantage of that, sometimes in fine ways that were you know, good, and people really needed me to be there that way. But a lot of it was like people taking full advantage, you know, in ways that weren't helpful to anybody. But I knew it had gotten really bad when I one day was walking into a Target and this woman from like, literally, like she was checking out. She was like near the checkout. And she saw me as I was walking in. I wasn't even like 15 feet from the entrance, like the double doors, and I had just walked into the store. I wasn't even like past the carts that are right in the front of the store. Like I had not gotten into the store at all yet. And she just beelined at me. I like happened to look at her. I was walking with my head up and I was very engaging, just looking at people. But I happened to catch eyes with her and she just beelined at me. And she just came up to me and immediately just started talking to me, like almost as if we knew each other. I knew that I didn't know her, but I'm very friendly. So I was just talking with her as if I'm an old pal, you know. As I tend to do anyways, but it was almost alarming the way that she had seen me and come right at me. And she immediately starts just kind of like pouring out her emotions. She starts talking about how she's going through a separation, and she knows from her husband, and she knows that it's the right thing to do, and she knows that it's what's best for the family ultimately, but at the same time she has all of these insecurities about how it's going to affect her daughter's well-being and her daughter's like personal experience, her, you know, ideas of love and commitment and all of these different things. And as she's talking with me, I'm listening and I'm talking back with her and I'm giving her little bits of advice and words of encouragement and just a point of support. And we ended up talking. Her daughter, came up to us at one point and I was like, I've been looking all over for you, just talking this lady's ear off, huh? And I kind of laughed about it. And then I was like, no, it's all right. I think she just needed somebody to talk to. And she was like, yeah, I did. And as soon as I saw you, I could tell that you were somebody I could talk to. And so then she sat there and talked to me for like another like half an hour while her daughter was like, okay, all right. And then her daughter eventually was like, okay, Mom, come on, we gotta go. And she's like, okay, well, thank you very much. And I gave her a hug and she's like crying. She gives me a hug. The daughter's kind of like, what the fuck? And kind of like laughed about it. And then they left. And I remember walking through the store and then like, I don't think I even got anything. Like, I just remember walking through the store and just like the whole time just being like, okay, I love being able to help people. I really do. And that was a blessing. Like, I love when people can like be like, oh, there's my help. Like, you're like a guardian angel. You just happen to be there exactly when I needed you. I get that a lot. And I get that a lot all the time. Like, that I just like happen to have what somebody needs right when they need it. And that's great and good. But at this point, I realized that like, this might be a problem. Like, this woman saw me from like 20 yards away and was like, you're the one. I'm gonna pour all of my energy out into you. And I remember like hearing some message at that time, and this is years and years and years ago, hearing some message at that time talking about energy vampires and how you can attract people that, you know, are codependent, and essentially they put their codependencies onto you, and now you're filling a void for them that maybe, as kind as it may be, and as nice as it may be, and as helpful as it may be, it's important to be cautious, because a lot of people will do that just because they don't want to do the work, and just because they don't want to come into their own, right? And what I'm seeing right now as I'm reflecting on this is that, like, the issue that I personally, and if this relates with you, then maybe you can understand too. I worked very hard to move away from that energy transference where codependent people were then seeking me out. I mean, it still happens, but like generally like where codependent people were seeing me as somebody they could take advantage of and that they could put themselves into so that they didn't have to do the work because I would do the work for them. I've done my own personal work so that I'm not doing their work anymore in order to set proper boundaries, in order to recognize those things so I can say, you know what, that's actually for you, but thank you. But in the same time, what I'm seeing is the opposing side of that made that so strong. And the part that I still struggle with is that I put out of myself in order to validate myself, or in order to not have to do the work myself, right? It's not that I'm not doing the work myself. I'm willing to do a whole hell of a lot of work to deflect this certain receiving, because this is the left hand as well, this certain receiving that I should be doing. And it's almost like I'm missing it because I'm not seeing it. I'm so busy holding the entire world in my hands and doing everything for everybody that I'm not seeing what it is that I'm really supposed to be receiving. And I'm feeling that energy today because I feel like I received yesterday a really good energy transference that was very exciting for me. And then I kind of like, in my excitement, kind of like said a little bit too much, did a little bit too much energetically. I don't think to the point that like, it's like, I mean, it's obviously never going to be to the point where it's like, okay, now I have to sit here and worry about that. Like, no, but I do need, it was a reminder to kind of like check myself and be like, okay, there, you don't have to give any more than that. That's enough. You gave that. Now you can sit with that. You can stand with that. You can hold on to that. You can have all of these things in your hand. But now there's this point of like, you've poured out into it, and now you need to let it do its work, and you need to be ready to receive. And like, but what I'm seeing in this too is because the water is on this side of the card and the fingers are on this side. So it's like the pouring out is being done and the receiving of that is being done. And then the taking of that and doing something with it is being done. But there's this space to receive that really needs to be focused on. And the reason that it needs to be focused on is because there's something not being seen. And the reason it's not being seen is because there's too much focus on all of this energy. And so it's not, if you resonate with this, then you're in the same place. But like, I'm not in proper alignment to properly receive this thing. And what the proper alignment looks like is moving out of this energy of having to do all of these things, including receiving. This is giving and receiving, but it's in a controlling way, where even the water is like a go with the flow, and the Milky Way is like to go with the cycle. So it's not talking about just doing what you do naturally. This is talking about like reaching past that comfort zone just enough to create that space to receive properly. To say, okay, so now what can I get out of this? What can I do with this? How do I put it on? Because it's talking about something on such like a deeper level than I'm communicating right now. Before I do this, can I have one more clarification card for the water, the Milky Way energy, this giving and taking within a sense of control, this need to release a certain amount of control? What exactly are we talking about here? This need to release control. Can I have something, just a little bit of clarification about this need to release control? Looks like, what exactly it's talking about, maybe a tool for that process. What's going to help us get into proper alignment to receive these manifestations? What is the tool that we need? What is it that we need to release? There's something that we need to release in order to come into this manifestation, in order to be able to properly receive it. Because I'm getting that as well right now, that it's almost like with this focus on the fingertips, that like, if we're receiving directly into this outpouring, then we're not able to actually hold on to anything. It's immediately being received into this outpouring. It is great alchemizing things. It's great to be able to take things and then immediately put them back out into the universe, into something greater, right? We're receiving this water, we're turning it into the Milky Way. fabulous. But when it comes to just being able to receive one's personal manifestations, the requests one has made in one's heart for very specific miracles, for very specific, I don't want to say comforts, but desires, goals, help for certain things that one has asked for. The universe can't give these things to you when you're constantly throwing it all back. How do we get into alignment with this proper receiving, where we can actually hold on to, what's it going to take to actually hold on to this miracle, this request, this wish, this goal? So I saw this card when it fell. It fell face up. It fell face up and it fell upright. But then it flipped in between my knees, and when I pulled it up in the reverse, and then I turned it, and it came out in the reverse, which is destiny, with a 4-leaf clover in the reverse. In the upright, I'm getting that it's like a faith, a trust, that things are working out. Yeah, but even that comes, like I can feel it in my heart, that it comes right through and flows right into an outpouring. How do I make this stick? How do I... Kids, we're not talking about just being selfish, but we are talking about being able to receive for oneself what one needs. Like, that's a big thing. The universe has been like personally wanting to bless me with like a lot of abundance, but there's certain abundance it simply can't give me, because it knows that as soon as it gives it to me, my giving heart is going to be like, okay, then this is for these people and for these people and for these people. There's been times that the universe has literally blessed me with an abundance, and it's been like, okay, this is for you to do your personal work with. And instead I've put it into benefiting others. At the same time, the last time I received, well, that was also my own active work, but the last time that I received, I had heard this message, and I really was trying to use it for myself, for my betterment, but I was kind of being shallow and short-sighted in that way. And it's a hard balance, because like ultimately the work that I want to do is a larger work. It's a greater work for the community. It's to be able to help people. But that was the point, right? Because I did all of this work and then received the abundance of it and then kept it to myself, but in a shallow way, which ultimately didn't serve my end goals. And really, if I'm truly caring for myself, I'm going to be caring for my end goals. Okay, so we're talking about not just like waiting on destiny and faith, but really taking it into your own hands. It's not just waiting on luck. It's really being willing to take these things in your own hands and then actively do the work with them. The outpouring comes from this great faith and trust in the universe to be able to, everything I give is going to come back to me good, and everything that I give with the right heart is going to be received the right way. And kind of, it becomes very, there was a time that served a great purpose. There was a time that was true and that was good. But we're coming into a point this year, especially, where like intention isn't enough. Follow through is everything. And so we can't just lean on this sense of destiny and this faith that all things are working out good for those who believe in good. Because although that's true, that's merely a foundation for what's being built. And what's being built is a lot of action. You know, self-actualization isn't a just a mindset. It's an activity. It's a process. It's a consistent action and knowing of oneself. Okay, so we're talking about receiving, but then holding on to that in order to take a step back and see what can really be done with it. And that is a struggle with me. I am such an anxious communicator. The moment I receive a message, I'm like putting it right back out, right? And that's a big part too, because I've been receiving that for a while now. Is that like quit? There's things that are trying to be given to me that like I'm not supposed to be putting out. So how, before we get to this, how do I receive? How are we talking about receiving these grander things from the universe without putting them out? How do I hold on to these things? Okay. Intuition in the upright. Okay, so it really is trusting my intuition over my feelings. It's funny because I know that my divine counterparts' tendency is to trust their head over their heart, and the struggle then comes in the fact that they have been extremely misled and just misguided on such a fundamental level that now they're having to learn how to trust their heart and how to trust their feelings and how to lean into those things, where mine is the exact opposite. My feelings have always been sound and I've been able to rely on them, but I've been gaining a proper education in order to be able to truly trust my intuition, in order to be able to truly trust like the mix between what I know and what I feel, but not my emotions feel, like what I know in this collective energy within myself. My intuition isn't just my feelings. It's not just like, oh, but I like this person. Oh, but that makes me feel like a bad person. Like, it's not that. It's something deeper than that. Yeah, it feels good to be able to be there for a random woman that's going through a hard time that obviously just needed somebody to talk to. But at the same time, when at that time, that's exactly what I needed in order to drive me into a space to be like, okay, what the fuck is going on here? How can I be better about this so that I'm not just having my energy siphoned? But like that was years and years and years ago. So like I should definitely not still be there. I'm at a point now where like regardless of the tears being shed, I need to be able to still grasp at what is really true. Hold on. So what are we talking about? Roots. I want my roots to be able to take hold. I want to be somebody who isn't just highly ambitious, but is also extremely well-founded. And I have the capacity to see all of my goals come to fruition. It's about this motivation. And that's why I'm being moved away from my capacity to be able to just go with the flow and make the most of things, and to be far more direct about what it is that I'm actually going after and what to do with it. Because we're talking about building roots. Building roots in a comfort system where I can actually find myself sustained, even throughout a period of hibernation, where I don't have to constantly be doing a work. I've done the work, and I can rest assured in it. But I can rest assured in it because it has solid roots. Now, where those roots are coming from, and initially when I talked about the beginning of this reading, we're taking from all things, we're taking from the universe, and we're letting it feed into these roots. Like through water, like the way that the roots are receiving their nutrients is from the sun and the air and the water, and then through the branches and the leaves and the ground, and then it goes down into the roots, right? And then it goes into the core of the tree, and then it all goes down into the roots, and then it comes back up and comes back out. There's the little mushroom here, and it's like the mycelium of the mushroom. That's really the entity that's being fed. The mushrooms are just the external facets, the face of what's being produced underneath, or what's really growing underneath, or what's really living underneath. What I've been asking the universe for a very long time has been a sense of true security and stability. And what it's been requesting of me and moving me through in this process for an incredibly long time has been this taking my destiny into my own hands and doing the work, being able to trust myself, to move forward, to be able to do the right things, to be able to receive the right things and put out the right things so that I can establish something very sound, but also to stay grounded about it. This is the thing. I've had I'm a very ambitious person, and I have a lot of skills, a lot of talents, a lot of different hats that I've worn. And that's all great and good. And there will be time, potentially, hopefully, in the future for me to be able to do all of these different things. I've already done a lot. But there's one specific thing that I've been called to do. And I'm working on that. And I think, if you've followed any of the readings that I've done, if these things resonate with you and you're kind of in alignment on the same sort of path that I'm on, your path is your own, your calling is your own. But then you can relate to that there's a certain calling. You hear it, you feel it. You can tell because none of these other things are lining up. There's these things that feel so great and so good and like you're supposed to be doing them, but they don't hit. They're just not hitting in that soul level fully. And they're all helping cultivate you into who you really are and truly are and what you're truly being called to. But if you resonate with that, and if you are right where I'm at, or if you're slowly coming up behind me, or even if you're right ahead of me, it's starting to take shape, this thing that we've truly been called to. All of the other things will be part of it in the future. But right now we're laying the foundation for being able to build on this specific calling. This is the thing that will bring us everything else. This is the thing that will bring us this sense of security. This is the thing that will bring us all of these other opportunities. This is the thing that helps us take destiny into our own hands. This is the thing that brings a flow between these things. This is what our intuition has been leading us into trusting and is guiding us into building. And when I say that, if there's anything, like if you don't know what your calling is, if you haven't gotten to that point yet, but when I'm saying these things, you're hearing, feeling a specific thing in your life, in your skill set, in your goals or aspirations, if there's like a specific thing that kind of just keeps coming up, lean into that and keep leaning into that until it takes full form. Keep visualizing that. It'll come upon you so randomly. You know, I'm not going to show you, but like this book, this little booklet, okay, that I'm writing my dream out in. I made this time last year. I made this a year ago. I made this booklet because the dream had already been revealed to me through a series of wild events, random, beautiful events, crazy, life-changing. I mean, my life was in danger at points, but like through that series of events, this dream came to me and I started to cling to it. And it was that clinging to it that protected me. I mean, it really came at like the last minute when like I was doing these other things and kind of like what I was doing at that time was just to sustain myself in order to do these other goals that I had. And then this dream came to me. And I very quickly realized that this was my destiny. And largely just in part because my ancestors brought that to me. I don't know if my heart was even there yet fully. But it came to me, and I embraced it right away. I knew I was supposed to. I didn't know what to do with it. I didn't know exactly what it was. But it came to me, and I made this booklet to be able to create a concise vision for the dream and to be able to share it with the person or people that I intend to build this dream with. But then I left it. I didn't write anything in it. This had remained completely blank. I'd set it up exactly. I already had the plan out, and I made it in one day when I was just feeling some type of way. And then I've kept it with me. I mean, I don't even think I have most any of the things that I had made at that time. It was just after all of my art had gotten destroyed. And this was like one of the first things I restarted creating. And, yeah, it's just been left blank this entire time. And I just picked it up, and today started making it into what it is to be. Because the dream has come back to me, and I've realized, I started pursuing these other things again, and, just trying to survive, and now I'm in alignment, and now it's the right time. And, if there's something that you've kind of put on the back burner, you've tried, you've put yourself into, you wanted to do, you had this little jolt of, maybe I could do this, and it seemed so big, and so, life-affirming, and it seemed like it was really going to change the world, but you immediately just put it behind you, or all these other things came up against you to make you doubt it, or just not really even care about it anymore, whatever it may be. But if it keeps coming back, and especially if it's come back at all in this reading, whether it's something you're actively working on right now, or something that as I've been talking, just randomly came up and you were like, oh yeah, that, maybe you don't fully realize, but if you feel it, and there's this thing where you're like, I forgot about that. I forgot that was something that I wanted to do. Lean into that. Lean into that thing. Because we are being called right now to start creating the new world. And these these directives have been placed in our hearts. They're part of who we are. They're part of, literally, they're in our DNA. They are part of who each of us are as an individual, these very specific callings. And when we are, as individuals, following them, they're going to start coming into alignment. The right people are going to start coming into alignment with those things. The workers that you need, the support that you need, the resources that you need, the finances that you need, the directions and management and stuff that you need to make these goals happen. Like, don't worry about that, because those things are coming into alignment with you. Those things will show up exactly when you need them to. You just need to keep the vision. You need to hold to that vision. Just keep it. I kept it in my heart. I waited for the right time. That time is being cultivated now. And I don't know how long it's going to take. I don't know exactly what the future holds. Like I was saying, I started writing this bucket list with this even in mind. And as I was even writing it, I was like, oh, geez, like I can't even say that this is how these things are going to be. But that's okay, because that's not what I'm being called for right now. You know, don't worry about the things you can't control. Focus on the things that you can. Oh, it's all coming into alignment. You have to trust. Keep visualizing, keep working towards those goals, the things that are in alignment with those goals. Yeah, that person, place, thing, or idea is nice. It is. And it's not the worst thing. It doesn't have to be. But if it's not what you know in your heart and in your soul you're being called to, don't worry about that thing. Let it go, move in the direction of the other thing, of the thing that, you know, do what scares you, do the big thing, live your wildest dreams. Like, I'm telling you, there are miracles being birthed right now, being born right now for you, just for you, to be able to succeed in your life goals, in your destiny. But you have to be willing to take it into your hands and to be able to actually do the work in order to see it come to fruition. It's not just about waiting around for it. The things that are being laid on your heart right now, that are being put, these visions that are being put in your head, these sort of motions that are being, these movements that are happening in your life, when things are being taken out of your life, let them go. When things are being added to your life, receive them with gratitude and consider, okay, then what is it that I'm to do with this? The reason we're in this process right now is because the universe is trying to align us with our highest power. Each and every one of us with our highest power, and it is within alignment with our highest power that we will all find alignment with each other, with source energy, with the creative force of the creative beings that we are, and that we'll be able to actually manifest this new world. And it's here. There's no getting away from it. Either you are in alignment or you're not. Oh, but it's so beautiful. And there's so many incredible things ahead of us. Thank you. Thank you for listening to this. Thank you to, I say angels, guides, ancestors, any energies or entities that are in higher realms, that are in other dimensions, that are working for my greatest good and my highest power. I don't know exactly what those things are, but I am so thankful for these energies, and as they move through me, to be able to show me these things. I'm so thankful for the reward of my faith in my work, the blessings that come with the work. I'm so thankful for the blessings. I'm so thankful for this life and for these opportunities. And I pray blessings on all of us as we move forward in this way, that I don't even have to pray for blessings. It's already there. It's not about being in this weird spiritual mindset. It's about literally, these things are fully tangible now. We're in that dimension. Like, it's not out of reach any longer. It's not only not out of reach, it's within our hand to do these things, to make something of these things. It's within our power, and it's within our destiny. It's within our goals. It's within what we are being called to do, is to create these things, is to build this. All right, so yeah, if you feel that, bless you for it. I look forward to working with you in the future, whatever that looks like. And I look forward to seeing what you're building. And I appreciate your time and your energy in listening. And I'll see you in the next one.